and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton. And today we're going to talk about a new program and how our police department is using technology to make our city safer. My guests are Mike Wisniewski and Will Darden. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is, technically we're going to talk about this new program that you have called Blue View, but I want to back up a step and really talk about how technology, security cameras, the big picture is changing a little bit the way you analyze crimes, arrest people. It's helping in a lot of ways the way you guys can do your jobs.
That's correct. It's changing things in a big way, actually. The offenders that we deal with now are leveraging technology to their advantage, so we have to do the same to combat it and to protect the citizens. So the Hampton Police Department, we, in the past year, have been working to stand up our real-time information center, which is essentially the hub of information for our public safety. It's for the police department, but we also partner with other city departments to make it more of a holistic approach for both combating criminal activity, but also responding to natural disasters, any kind of unplanned events or planned events. For instance, like a weather event or something like that, we will work with Public Works, Fire, whoever has a horse in the race, so to speak, to address issues. So right now we're pulling in multiple sources of information. All of our analysts work out of our information center. And we also pull in various camera feeds from a number of sources to help virtually respond, if you will, to crimes and feed information out to the officers that are responding. Okay.
Mike, I'm going to say something, and don't take this wrong, but we hear a lot of complaints from citizens. I want to see the officers. I want to see more officers on the street. Mm-hmm. The budget plan over the past few years has added officers. I know that's what people want to see. But last year, I think the city, based on the police chief's recommendation, made the choice to add analysts rather than officers. And I don't know that people truly understand the benefits of what goes on behind the scenes. Can you, just explain that a little bit more?
Sure. We did add 3 analyst positions. Arguably, we were low in our analyst count as it was for comparative jurisdictions size-wise. But things are moving towards intelligence-led policing. They have moved, and they continue to stay in that space where information is key. Information is power, so to speak, and we need to make sure our officers are properly informed and have everything they need to respond more efficiently to incidents or investigate them. So you can see it as picking analysts over patrol officers, but I think we look at it in a way of almost adding to our investigative strength, because our detectives are sworn officers. Analysts do detective work, essentially. They just don't go out and put the handcuffs on people. So we're supplementing in different areas that will allow officers to be freed up more to be on the road using the analysts. So leveraging civilian employees to a degree actually opens up officers to be boots on the ground, if you will, in that sense. Our analysts, they do the research, the investigative work to supplement what detectives and officers do, so they can meet their goals quicker and more efficiently.
So, Will, you used to be an officer on the street. You've been going to school, getting IT experience. You've seen it now from both sides.
Absolutely.
What kind of a difference does it make to an officer on the street to have this kind of intelligence?
Absolutely. And to piggyback off what the lieutenant said, we are a very data-driven division. So not only are analysts equipped with the tools to go out there and try to analyze the patterns and see what kind of crimes occur, we also offer that ability to the police officer on the street. We have some very sophisticated software that we use that we didn't have before. So now an officer can go out there, leverage their MDT, and actually identify specific crime patterns within their district.
You said MDT, I don't know what that is.
It's a mobile data terminal that they have in their vehicles. So technology is a huge part of that, because the amount of data that a police department produces it's truly incredible. So trying to make sense of that can be very difficult to do if you don't have the software to do it. And as a division, we're very fortunate to have that software that just about every police officer on the street has been trained to utilize.
So things that officers used to have to do that would take a long time and a lot of instinct and contacts and things like that can be done much quicker now.
Correct, and really, when we say it's a real-time information center, that's what we call it. The real-time part is really the essential piece of that. In that, you know, for instance, if there's an incident, a robbery or something, officers are responding to it, and detectives will investigate it. You know, after the fact, after it has occurred, they'll traditionally in the past they would request information about historical data, what crime trends we've been experiencing, other jurisdictions are experiencing, and they would use that to their investigation to locate a suspect or, you know, determine a pattern. Now the idea is that we're taking that information and communicating it to the officers and the detectives as they're en route to that call, and they have it in front of them before they arrive, you know, ideally. So, for instance, if we're looking for, you know, a bald guy with a beard and a blue suit who is committing, you know, crimes in an area, and we've seen a trend involving that person either here or in our neighboring cities or what have you, when that comes in, if that piece isn't given out by whoever's calling us, we can push that information out to the officer saying, hey, we have had a trend in this area. This is the suspect information that we've traditionally been dealing with. So keep an eye out. You know, might be that person, might not, but it's knowledge that they need to have on the front end. As we're racing to the scene, there's a lot of things that could be overlooked. So knowing what potential things to look for is a great tool, and we've had some successes with that so far, and we hope to continue.
Well, one of the things I was going to say, though, is it changes what the public sees. There was an incident in Wythe in which there was a burglary or some sort of an incident in a home, and because of the real-time information center and some cameras, the police department had a lead on where the suspects were headed, and so immediately deployed the officers there instead of to go to the scene and talk to the people at the house. And while that would have been beneficial, going where the suspects were was the first step. And so I think that the people didn't understand what was going on and how that was a better step. And so there's a little bit of a gap for the public, but I do want them to understand, you know, this is a better chance at getting the perpetrators caught than going to the home where we know they're not. You have to do both, but if you make the choice in that immediate time, your chances are better over here where you know they're headed. And I think we've got to continue to educate the public about that.
Right,
that choice.
And we're still, you know, crawling with this situation. You know, we're building on it, and every incident is a learning experience, what we could do better, and we constantly evolve with it. If in a perfect situation, obviously we'll send officers to both, and you know, when there's limited resources or if you know, people are tied up on priority complaints, of course we're going to send who we can to the most likely area to assist. Now, if there was an injury or somebody was in need of help, we're going to prioritize with that. But that's where our communicators come in, our 911 dispatchers, to communicate with the person calling in and letting them know what the officers are doing,
right,
and assessing the situation, you know, triaging, if you will, where we need to focus those resources.
So right now there's some cameras, and a lot of them are traffic cameras. They're VDOT cameras. But when something happens, you may be able. So if someone calls in and they left in a blue late model, you know, XYZ car, you can try to capture where that car's going through existing cameras.
That's exactly what we do. Yeah.
But the big picture is to add some more cameras, to get businesses involved, and a lot of businesses already have camera systems, already have securities, but if they can loop in the police department, we've got resources throughout the city.
Correct, and Will, please jump in when I stop making sense. But we have some of our own camera assets that the police department puts out based on, you know, investigations that we're working on or areas that we have concern with. Then there's the traffic cameras that our public works maintains, and they are continually spreading out that footprint, adding cameras that we work with them on, because there are budgetary concerns, and we try to get the most bang for our buck to solve two problems with the traffic issues that they work with,
right.
And then, you know, a lot of times our
and
areas,
flooding. We monitor a lot of those intersections.
Correct.
Are monitored for flooding,
right?
as well.
And our areas of concern for emergency management, you know, traffic engineering and police tend to intersect, so we work with them closely to make sure that we're, you know, maybe killing 2, 3, 4 birds with one stone.
And city buildings. We're effectively a business with our own security cameras. It's just our security is you guys. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And we do. We're inventorying. We're taking inventory of existing cameras now that are on city buildings that are on the network, and working with our IT folks to pull those in. There's a lot that already exists. Having this center is just about doing outreach and pulling those assets in. So as I said, there's traffic. There's the ones that the police department puts out, and then there's private partners, which is what the Blueview program is about, trying to get private partners to see the benefit in participating in the program. And as long as it's a web-based camera system, something that we could go reach the internet to touch, or it's on the city network, which would be the city buildings, typically we can work with them to pull those in. There are some costs involved depending on what the situation is, and everybody's camera situation is unique. But we do have some participants already, either in the downtown areas or the Coliseum business areas that we've reached out to test with, kind of proof of concept, if you will.
Right.
And things have been very positive, so we're continuing to move forward and try to pull more folks in. So
we're looking for businesses. And what is the benefit for the business? Do you want to answer this one, Will?
Sure. So obviously, if a call for service comes in, there is a bit of a response time for a police officer to arrive at that location. However, if we were able to leverage cameras at that location, and in the RTIC, the Real-Time Information Center, we're monitoring the radios constantly. Call comes in, I can immediately leverage a camera that's at that location and begin to provide that real-time information to the police officer going to the scene.
And it also, okay, I'm a shopper, let's admit it. I'm a bit of a consumer. I go to restaurants, I go to stores. I've seen a little chatter on social media that some people are a little uncomfortable after dark and are nervous about going places. I'm personally not. I think Hampton is very, very safe. Most larger cities are less safe, and people who maybe grew up here aren't used to that. But nonetheless, it makes people nervous. And if I'm seeing a sign on those businesses that say the security is monitored, I'm thinking, that might deter people. That might make this business a little bit more safe. I might feel a little more comfortable going out. Is that part of the benefits for that business and for the public?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that is, it is a deterrent, and we want it to be a deterrent. And also, it's not a silver bullet. It's not a magical solution to everything. When we deal with a business about this project, we also look at other aspects of it, because a lot of things like you're talking about after dark, walking to your car, those are crimes of opportunity. And when we talk to a business or a property about cameras, we also talk to them about the environmental design of that property. Is the lighting conducive to the criminal element, or is it such that it makes it safer for people to come to your property? Things like landscaping, if your trees are overgrown for a business, if your storefront is covered with stacks of merchandise where we can't see in, those are all items that lend to the criminal element. So we don't just come in and say, let's see your cameras. We look at those other things too, because a camera is only as good as the area that it can monitor. The other factors at play are the environmental things like the lighting and visibility. So we try to approach it from that aspect also.
Hey, that's like a free security consultation that a business gets. Let's add that to the list of benefits when you guys come to talk to them.
Our community engagement unit actually does that. They have folks that get certified in that area of environmental design, safety and environmental design, and they do provide that service. So outside of this camera program, that's always available also. It's definitely something that folks need to look at.
That is wonderful. And I think, too, people may have this idea that real-time crime, that you're going to monitor, you're going to have a staff in there that's going to monitor 1,000 cameras at every moment. That is sadly not something that's feasible right now. But the point is, you can switch to them when something happens.
Absolutely. And we have had some successes where we were just monitoring cameras and we were able to identify criminal activity and send officers in to intervene. But we're currently pulling in hundreds of cameras. There will be more as we add to it, and just 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people sitting in there, depending. It's still not enough eyes to watch all those cameras. So it's more of a virtual response, and then we of course monitor the cameras throughout the day, periodically in different areas, depending on what the stimulus is for us to do that. But yeah, you're exactly right. There's not always going to be eyes on it all the time.
Well, and I'm also way not a crime expert, but a lot of people who are going into businesses for robberies aren't doing it once and then suddenly they live a crime-free life. So if you are able to get them quickly, while you maybe didn't prevent robbery A, you prevented robberies B, C, D, and E. And you may increase your prosecution rate because you've got more evidence. And, you know, there's a lot of steps. You know, people think maybe you guys can swoop in and prevent everything from happening. That might be a little tiny bit unrealistic. But the more you can do to get crime solved quickly, get people off the street, increase the conviction rate, lots of those things, it's still going to go a long, long way toward stopping, you know, preventing all the other crimes down the road.
You're absolutely right. There's an evidentiary portion of this where you can't argue with a video of it so much. You know, adding that extra response to an area, being able to look at a camera instantly as opposed to driving to the scene, it does allow us to intervene more quickly and efficiently and make these arrests. And you're absolutely right. We do see that, you know, oftentimes there's a small group of people that are responsible for a larger amount of crime, which is where the analysis comes in, the information, being able to learn that and focus our efforts in the right area and deploy resources appropriately.
So for a number of years, home security systems have become popular. People always, so obviously people think it's a deterrent. I don't know if it actually is, but because there's always a sign that says this home protected by blah, 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 blah. Now it's much more affordable for the average person because you can get your own web-based camera. You can buy one-offs. You don't have to have the big systems. Have these kinds of things made a difference in home burglaries?
Oh, absolutely, and you know, folks who have those home camera systems, they have it for that reason. If something does occur, you know, they're either alerted to it as it's happening, or they have the evidence after the fact that we're able to leverage to you know, bring these people in and resolve these cases. So, and we are seeing that there's a community behind it also, where folks reach out to their neighbors. You know,
man, they're sharing them on my neighborhood Facebook
right,
group.
and, which
I'm
is
telling
wonderful,
you.
and that needs to happen because there's a lot of folks that just, they may see something, but they don't say something. They don't share that information, and having that out on social media, your neighbor saying, "This is what happened to me," that may solicit that information from you, you know, who didn't think anything of it at the time, where you saw something that didn't sit right with you, but you chose not to act on it. Now you have that information. It helps. It might be the missing piece of the puzzle for us. And we're also reaching out to various home security, home camera vendors and companies to see how we can leverage the assets that are already out there. You know, there are quite a few different products, and most of their companies are very law enforcement friendly. You know, with the customer's approval,
right.
obviously.
The homeowner would agree, but they could do the sharing on a larger platform, and the homeowner wouldn't have to necessarily do the technology.
Right, or even just letting us know who has cameras. If you know, folks register with the company and agree to let law enforcement know, hey, I have a camera at my house. If something happens in your neighborhood, it allows us to potentially know, oh, well.
Can we ask? Yeah,
at least
maybe
go to the door.
You don't know that something happened, but you could say, hey, did your camera capture this? Would you mind if we looked?
Exactly.
I never thought about that. There's so much that we don't think about. You guys are on top of it.
There's so much out there, and we're just scratching the surface right now. So.
Okay. Well, is there anything you guys want to add before we close?
Just the Blue View project. It is going to be posted on the city website. Once we go live with that, there'll be information on there in the police portion of the website, where folks can go on, see a little video from Chief Salt explaining the program further, and then there'll be an interest form essentially that they can put their information into, and then one of us would be in contact with them to talk about what they currently have, what they have to do to participate, and how to move forward. I
think they're all going to want to. I think you're going to be flooded with requests because I don't see a downside for a business. I mean, unless they don't have the technology or there's an expense involved because they don't currently have cameras, because this is absolutely a win-win for the city, for the citizens, and for the businesses to all be connected and to all be participating in making our community safer.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
And thank you for watching. I hope you do understand what our city and our police department are doing to try to solve crimes and make our city safer. A lot of what is going on in areas that you may not see, but please know all of the things that are going on and the ways you can participate. Thanks for watching.